here we are again at the disclaimer. Finally back to normal videos. One thing I wanted to cover up on is why I have a fursuit. It's something I've been asked by a few people, like, why do you have a fursuit? Not all furries do. So, just wanted to cover off on this and just tell you guys why I have two fursuits, why I got them, who they're by, because that's a question I get quite a bit, and, my suggestions for going about getting a fursuit. Again, this is just my experience, so if yours is different, love to hear so in the comments. Please understand that this is not why all furries have fursuits, but it's just why I do. All right, and off we go. Alright, so why did I get a fursuit of Hellie? So one of the main reasons I wanted a fursuit of this particular character is I've had candy masks and rave outfits for this particular character, but I really wanted that fursuit experience to really be able to play to the character accurately. With some of the rave outfits, I could kind of sort of do it, but you didn't really get the performance that you'd get from a bona fide fursuit, or in this case, a partial. So I ended up getting Hellie about like a year or two ago to really accentuate that character. Obviously, because she's a bit spoopy, it's really, really hard to go fursuiting in her in New York City because this obviously looks much weirder than just a toonie suit that kind of looks approachable. She's not the most approachable suit, although I will say I did a shoot recently with Synthfire and kids bizarrely really, really liked her. The parents were not such a fan, but the kids would run up, play with their ears, want to shake hands, and give high fives. So that was kind of an interesting thing that I noticed that I was not expecting. But this particular suit was made by Barking Mad, formerly Wolf Dragon Creations, or Hypno. Suits as Ebony the Hoshiko Beast, if you guys know her. Really, really cool person. But yeah, I wanted Hellie because I really wanted to express this character in a way that I just didn't think I was able to previously, and so that's why I got her. So, why did I get Cupcake? So one of the big reasons that I got Cupcake is I've been searching high and low for a style that I really, really wanted to bring this particular character to life. She is completely different from her older sister, Hellie. Upbeat, bubbly, really, really cute, friendly, approachable. The one time I suited in her in New York City, she was very well received. People actually want to know what TV show she was from. I had to politely explain that she's the original character. She's not from a TV show. Sorry, kids. But for fancy costumes, fabricated the full partial that I have right now. I only ever wear the top half when I'm recording videos just because that's really all you can see. But she started as a rave outfit made by Dirty Cats, and the longer and longer that I wore more and more outfits, the more and more I wanted, to the point of which I really, really wanted a fursuit because I felt like that was the best possible way to represent her. Eventually got on the list for Fur Fancy, and then finally got her in, I want to say March, probably around March. And I've been really, really happy with her. She's very easy to move around in. The visibility is a little different than Hellie. That's taken some getting used to. And I'm not used to having follow me eyes, so that has also taken some getting used to. Usually with kids that really think I'm looking at them, but I am not because I cannot see them. But overall, I'm really happy with the way the character was finally created. It's kind of exactly how I envisioned her coming out, right down to the very anime inspired eyes. I'm really happy with her, and I'm glad I went through with a full commission for a fursuit because this is exactly how I wanted her portrayed, and I honestly just could not stop raving about her. But I'm going to because this video would be really long if I didn't. So for anyone interested in getting a fursuit, some things you should definitely know. The first reason you should ask yourself is, why do you want the fursuit? If it's a connection to your character thing and you really want to perform as that character and really bring it to life, getting a fursuit is definitely a great idea. But just make sure that if you do get a fursuit, you really look into every maker that you're hoping to commission, and you really get a good idea for timing, pricing, all like the fine details before you actually sit down and go to buy a fursuit. Because it's very, very helpful to know all of the factors involved, as pretty clear with Hellie when I ordered her because it was a younger maker and it was basically just a DVC skull with additions. So it wasn't, I guess, as intense as getting Cupcake. Cupcake was a foam head with markings, and Hellie didn't really have markings. She's all one color, which is pretty easy in terms of figuring out fur and stuff. But if you have a very detailed character, just make sure you look up everything you need to know first. Why you should not get a fursuit. Don't get a fursuit if you're just trying to fit in with the fandom or you think you need one. You don't. Fursuits aren't for everybody, and you don't need a fursuit to be a furry. You can just as easily bring out those qualities of your favorite character that you've created without a fursuit. I personally love the ability to fully take on the character, so if that's something you're really looking forward to and really want out of a fursuit, then definitely go get one. But if you are a little bit younger, just make sure your parents are okay with it. So how to get a fursuit? Firstly, what you are going to need is some sort of reference sheet that shows all of the aspects of your character, no matter how simple or complex. This makes it very, very easy for a fursuit maker to really nail your character on the first go around. What you don't want to do is give them kind of vague direction and not really a very complete rep sheet, because this will make it very hard for them to make critical design decisions if you're not very clear with them. Also, really look for open slots on commission lists and pay attention when they open. Not every fursuit maker is going to be open all the time. If you have a fursuit maker you really, really, really want, keep a close eye on their Instagram, website, Fur Affinity, whatever they use as their primary source of communication. Monitor it closely and do your best to hop on it as soon as a commission slot opens. Now, if you don't have a design in mind, another great way to get a fursuit is to look for auctions or pre-mades or anything that's already been created. If you see a character that really speaks to you, that's already fully designed and on the market, hop on it, because a lot of makers make some really amazing suits pretty much just from scratch with the creativity in their heads. So if you see something that really calls out to you, message them and see if it's like an auction, or you can insta buy it, or it's on FurBuy or Dealer's Den or what have you, and just see if you can get it that way. I know some artists also have giveaways and raffles. Enter those if you're not really sure, but you like their style. Otherwise, another great way to get a fursuit is if you have another friend who fursuits and they've kind of lost touch with their character. Sometimes you can adopt a gently used fursuit if they're kind of your same size and get to take on a character and even rebrand an old character that maybe they just aren't in love with anymore. Now, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but if you are underage, make sure your parents are chill with it. Most fursuit makers are a little hesitant to work with younger customers because it does get a little bit dicey in terms of whose credit card, how they're paying, where to mail it, all that kind of thing. So if you are under the age of 18, work with the fursuit maker to come to a good decision. Some will not take you because you're too young, but if you have your mom or dad or legal guardian do the process for you, it should be a bit easier, safer, and that will definitely put fursuit makers at ease. What you don't want to happen is get a suit maker all excited to work on your suit, and then mom and dad say no, and then you've essentially taken a slot that could have been held by someone else, and it's kind of a sucky situation for the maker too, because they might have been stoked to make your character and now they can't. But yeah, if you want one, definitely start looking at makers that you like, make a little portfolio or Rolodex of the styles that you want, and then just kind of keep in mind the prices. Suits are not cheap at all. Cupcake was probably around $1,200. Hellie's probably in the $600 range, I want to say. It was a younger maker, so I got a pretty good deal on her. But just bear in mind, depending on what suit maker you want, the prices will range a lot. If you're going for someone big and established, like Autumn Fallings made for you, your suit is going to be more expensive because they're very well known and they're established. If you don't have that kind of cash to blow, understand that they're going to be a little bit harder to work with in terms of trying to get the price down. If they standard at like 3,000, 4,000, they're not going to be as willing to drop it just because you don't have the money or that's just out of your price range. They have customers that are constantly hitting them up for stuff. They're not going to be very receptive to, I love you, but I can't pay for you. Because at the end of the day, they have to make money too. Now, if you do want to try a new maker, that will sometimes save you a few bucks. If it's a younger maker, just understand their construction might be a little bit, how do I say this nicely? A little bit more amateur. They'll probably be able to execute a really great suit, but it might not look exactly like a bigger suit maker's like finished product. That doesn't mean it will be bad, but just make sure you really, really scan their past work. And if it is a really new maker, that you feel comfortable with your suit hitting that standard of construction. Now, if you have any trouble with them, if it comes through with holes or rips or incorrect patterns, don't freak out. Usually most makers are willing to make changes if something has gone wrong. I've had it happen on stuff before, both rave outfits and fursuit alike. Usually if you're calm, polite, and respectful of their time and just say, look, I'm very, very sorry that this one piece didn't quite come out right, most of the time they'll be okay with either refurbing, redoing what went wrong, or just, working with you to come to a positive resolution. So just remember, when you are dealing with a fursuit maker, that is their livelihood. So be polite, be receptive, and do not jump on a list until you are financially ready to pay for the suit, because it's a big investment for you, but it's also a big investment for them in terms of materials that they'll need to buy for the fursuit and hours that they'll need to spend on the fursuit. So if you feel like you really, really want it, but you're not sure if you can pay for it yet, let them know you're interested and tell them the situation. And when your money is good and straight, maybe they'll have a spot for you, or maybe you might have to wait a few months, but just make sure you are ready to make a commitment before you grab a slot. All right, and finally, how to stay safe in a fursuit. Now, I have broken a few of these rules before and paid for it dearly, but when you're in a fursuit, make sure you realize how good or bad your visibility is. I can show you right now my visibility. I can't really see all of my hand, but I can see my claw tips. It goes from here, now I can't see it. Same thing, from here, now I can't see it, and from here, now I can't see my paws. Make sure you understand all of your blind spots, anything on your suit that is fragile and cannot take some rough horseplay, and then any limitations that the suit gives you. My feet are very, very large in this suit, so I do have to be very mindful of where I am stepping. It's why I don't fursuit in this fursuit as much in New York City, because cobblestones, grates, dogs, kids, screaming tourists, homeless people, public drunks. It's not an ideal suit. If I get a beer spilt on this bright pink fur, it will show a lot. I have not done that yet for fancy, so do not be worried. I haven't tested this theory yet, but it's definitely something that is a problem. So, how you're going to be safe in fursuit. First of all, find a handler. It could be your best friend, your mom, whoever. Make sure you have someone who can be your eyes and ears where you can't hear or see. I can't hear really well back here, which is not the suit's fault. My hearing is just not that great anyway. And I can't see back here. So if someone thinks I'm the cutest thing ever and wants to give me a hug, if they come from back here, I have no idea they're there. So what you're going to want to do is have someone that can assist people who want to take pictures, hug you, or if they have bad intentions, can get you out of there quick and safe. This shouldn't be an issue if you live in a safer area than I do. I live in the city, so it's kind of a crapshoot. But having someone to help you get around safely and in a way that is still fun, good looks. Additionally, make sure you drink a shitload of water, because you are going to get hot. Depending on what kind of fursuit you have, whether it be partial, full, quarter, any creative way in between, you're gonna get hot. If you're wearing a head, it is like wearing a sofa on your face. So make sure you drink plenty of water and take breaks. Even if you're afraid you're gonna ruin the magic because there's no way to safely take your head off without little kids seeing your human face, if it gets to the point where you're too hot, screw the magic, take the head off, and do not overheat. Your handler may not be able to see that you're overheating, and it can be really dangerous if you get way too hot, especially if you have been out all day in like over 90 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you who are in Europe, and you haven't drank enough water. Your handler might not necessarily know that you're hot. So another great thing to do is set like high signs or cues for your handler when you get too hot. A common one is doing this if you're too hot, although for a little kid this might look like come give me a hug. Just make sure your suit handler knows that when you're doing this or whatever you set, that means, uh-oh, I'm hot. Get me water, get my head off, get me a fan. Also carry a fan. Fans are helpful. Might look really dumb to shove a fan up your muzzle, but if you're hot, it is a godsend. And then lastly, if everything goes south and you're in a very bad area, make sure your handler gets you out of said area quick. I have had this happen twice now in Hellie, where I have wandered onto a street that was not safe, and my handler was very professional and got me the heck into a cab in about 1 minute. So if you think you are not safe, the best thing to do is take your head off, look around, make sure you're in an okay spot, and if needed, duck into any safe looking building. If you don't have that option, call a cab. If you don't have that option, try to find a well-lit space or a local police car to stand next to and start a friendly conversation to get yourself in a safer spot. Can't emphasize this enough. As a city dog, I've had to sprint over to local police with my head under my arm and just ask them for directions just so I could get away from some people who were not very nice. So if you have to do that, make sure you and your handler get to a safe spot as fast as possible. This doesn't really happen at cons that much. Cons typically are safe spaces, but if you are suiting in public and you don't feel safe, get somewhere that makes you feel safe ASAP, because that is the best way to suit. It is not good to suit in an area that is dangerous and stay in that area with limited visibility and possible dehydration. Does not end well. Done it twice. Don't recommend it to anyone. All right, and that is why I have 2 fursuits and some tips how you can get one and also be safe in your fursuit. If anyone has any other tips or tricks that I did not cover, I would love to see them in the comments. And your experiences fursuiting would be awesome. I'd love to hear about all the fursuiting experiences you've had, either in public or cons or wherever. And any tips or tricks you have on ordering or staying safe, leave them in the comments. I'm sure everyone who suits or wants to suit would greatly appreciate them. And as always, have a lovely day, drama-free, hopefully. And I will see you all later.